You may think you know Egypt, but you've never seen it like this. People say this is a rough and difficult place to travel, but I'm here to tell you it can be quite luxurious as well. Follow along as we explore this land where history and myth meet. Where ancient tombs and ruins have withstood the ravages of time. In this episode, we'll brave the inside of the Great Pyramids, sail the majestic River Nile, and indulge in exotic feasts. I spent 10 days exploring this country, Pharaoh style. This is Egypt. This trip begins as many do, landing at an airport. Unlike most others, we're met at the gate with a golf cart.
Quite the VIP treatment.
We had our own liaison that led us through baggage claim and through customs before loading us into this car and onto our hotel, the Waldorf Astoria, which, by the way, had this really intense security checkpoint. I didn't feel totally comfortable filming it, and you'll notice a lot of these throughout Egypt. Anyway, here's the absolutely stunning lobby. Let's check out the room.
All right, in the room now.
This room was both beautiful and spacious.
It's really nice, but I'm exhausted, so let's do this tomorrow. All right, that's better.
Cue the room tour. There's ample storage here with 2 closets, a coffee station, and this beautiful marble-clad bathroom with a big vanity. You'll have a choice between a tub and a standing shower. Inside the main living area, you'll find a firm king-size bed and a 50-inch TV.
I love all the recessed lighting.
This room also featured a desk, a lounge chair, and of course,
look at this view.
Ooh.
Oh, this courtyard's actually really stunning.
This is the part of the video where I typically cut away and say something like Cairo awaits. But luckily, this time we have a couple days to get over our jet lag on property.
Time for a cocktail.
And now we'll have Diana look over her shoulder 3 times in a row for no apparent reason as we make our way into the
Gorgeous lobby. Absolutely love the shadows that the palm trees cast on the ceiling.
And here's the outdoor courtyard. And here are the drinks we ordered. This one's called the Mummy, and this one's called the Serpent Snatch, and both of them I approve. It was lovely to sit out here, but now it's time for dinner. This is Ida, the Waldorf Astoria's luxury dining option. We make our way into this beautiful dining room, peruse the gilded menu, before starting with this pistachio bread service.
That bread is outrageous.
And so was this beef carpaccio. A group dinner means a group toast, and I had what the menu described as the world's best lemon drop. I'm gonna give it to him. Diana had this beautiful lamb chop, and this is the choice I made, which unfortunately was the wrong one.
It's okay.
Oh well, back to this bar where I know the drinks are good. And we'll go ahead and indulge in another vice that's on theme. Now you're only gonna get this reference if you grew up in LA, but I felt like I was 18 in Westwood again. And as the flavored tobacco filled the air around me, that brought night 1 in Cairo to a close. It's already mid-afternoon. We had a late start, but we are out of bed in time for
Pool time.
Now the pool area at the Waldorf is a total vibe. It's a hot sunny day, the water looks inviting, and we're gonna jump on in. It must have been something like 100 degrees, so it was just great to be in the water. And as I lay here floating, it occurred to me that I need to maintain this physique, so I ordered a pina colada.
Thank you.
We did a little bird watching, and by the way, there are peacocks wandering this property. And we'll go ahead and use these mesmerizing tail feathers as a transitional element. I heard there's an English pub in the basement.
This is very Austin. A pub and a casino.
Which reminds me, I have to head back to Vegas and hit another jackpot soon. This pub is called Darts, and they don't have Guinness. What they have instead is Stella, and no, that's not Stella Artois, that's Stella, a local Egyptian beer.
It's nice, it's very light. It's actually kind of similar to like a Corona.
Fascinating. Let's move on to dinner, and we're doing Thai tonight. This is Lontania. We started with a tom kha, and you may be wondering, what is Thai food like in Egypt? Well, terrible.
This basically is just like a tomato soup.
All right, how about the chicken satay? That's a Thai basic.
Chicken's not bad, but I don't know what this is that they're calling peanut sauce.
Perhaps the pad thai is an improvement.
This is the idea of a pad thai. It's like AI made it or something.
Imagine, if you will, that mid-service during an Italian meal, they found out you wanted Thai. I don't have coconuts.
Makes me miss Thailand.
Let's go ahead and end the night here, because tomorrow we're actually gonna leave the hotel. It's the next day, and we are
More or less adjusted. Time to go to Cairo.
Let's go see some mummies.
But first, we're going to make up for last night's lackluster dinner with this absolutely incredible breakfast buffet. The Waldorf Astoria has one of the best.
This buffet slaps.
And the staff introduced me to a new favorite. This is food.
Very good.
This buffet had pretty much anything you could imagine. But you know what? You know what breakfast is. Let's get out of the hotel. We board a bus and leave the Waldorf Astoria behind. And here are my first impressions of Cairo as it passes by our bus's window. First, it's dusty and largely beige. Also, there's a ton of construction. Actually, you'll see a lot of unfinished buildings with rebar coming out of the top. The reason for this is builders get to avoid paying taxes as long as they don't finish their buildings. And yet, people live in them. Secondly, I hear there are traffic laws here, but they seem more like traffic suggestions. Cairo is also known as the City of 1,000 Mosques, famous for its many minarets and domes which dot the skyline. Cairo is also home to this large necropolis. This is Al-Kharafa, the city of the dead. People actually live here with plumbing and schools embedded alongside graves. Now, I would have liked to have seen this, but we're on a guided tour and making our way to our very first pyramid. And no, it's not the great one at Giza, but the glass one at the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization, or NEMC for short. The first thing you're going to notice in this room is this inverted pyramid pointing to this very cool multimedia display leading into the Royal Hall of Mummies. The first floor of the museum features artifacts from throughout Egypt's history, from the prehistoric through pharaonic and beyond. Here's an ancient tent, and here's a statue of Akhenaten. Very cool to see. This museum had Ankhs aplenty and this absolutely awesome chariot. Such a cool piece. Look at all this detail, and there's actually still a little bit of blood on it.
This is hands down my favorite piece in the entire museum so far.
There are honestly so many cool things in here, it's kind of hard to call it. Anyway, let's learn something from our tour guide.
This is very important king, famous king in Egyptian history. His name Ramses II. But you find his name everywhere. He removed names and title of the kings before and write his name on.
Scholars believe he looks something like this.
I built everything. I'm the best builder. I'm the builder Pharaoh, okay?
The foregoing content is intended solely for comedic and entertainment purposes. It is not intended to convey or endorse any political affiliation, viewpoint, or ideology. Any interpretations or biases perceived by the viewer are subjective and are not attributable to the creator. The views and opinions expressed in the comment section, if any, do not reflect those of the creator.
I'm a friend to every man. The NEMC also has artifacts from throughout the Coptic period into the Islamic one. All right, on to the main event and into the Royal Hall of Mummies. This exhibit is a huge deal. Just look at all the fanfare they put into bringing it here. This is the Golden Parade of Pharaohs, a gigantic procession of 22 mummies, chariots, a full orchestra, a massive light show. Egypt put $22 million into this parade, and here they are. Yes, this is some kind of joke. No cameras were allowed inside, so I've made miniatures out of paper towels and beef jerky. Yummy. Another thing worth mentioning here is that there's a pedestrian bridge that'll take you to an outlook and a view of the Nile River. But we're going to see plenty of that soon. In the meantime, we're going to take a short drive through some new construction to a very old part of town. This is Coptic Cairo, and it's over 2,000 years old. Can't wait to show you around.
Yalla.
As we make our way through every nook and cranny of this place, I'm really struck with how every century has left its mark upon this place. It's just fascinating to see. Coptic Cairo is home to many of the city's oldest churches, which you can enter so long as you're dressed appropriately. Egypt may be primarily a Muslim country, but the churches were beautiful, and there's plenty of Christian imagery around, whether in mosaic or power lines. Also, you may notice this recurring theme of the Holy Family riding with the pyramids in the background. That's because of this place. This is Abu Simbel, where the Holy Family sought refuge from King Herod.
When they escaped Jerusalem, they came here for baby Jesus.
Well, specifically, in the basement is the original cavern where they hid. The church sort of grew up around it. Things have changed over the centuries, but there is some of the original floor left intact.
Is the original ground where Jesus and his family walked upon.
And here's the well from which they drank. Allegedly. I really enjoyed walking around Coptic Cairo and seeing all these amazing sights. But it's time now, we head back to the bus and back to the hotel.
Our host is actually having a little party, and we're expected to head out again in an hour. I'm gonna try to take a little nap. Changed, outfit check. You ready to party like an Egyptian?
We're leaving Heliopolis towards a newer part of town. Look at all this new construction. And into a gated community. This is how the 1% in Egypt live. These homes are beautiful and meticulously landscaped, which is a stark contrast to most of Cairo that I've seen so far. Anyway, here's the welcoming committee.
This is heaven.
I think the first order of business here is to have a glass of wine. And this is a reminder to not look through the viewfinder, but rather with your eyes. There we go. This is a beautiful home, and this dinner is looking absolutely magic under this golden hour light. Speaking of magic, there is a magician here.
How much do I owe?
Smoke fills the air from the grill, and we are finding ourselves getting excited. Just look at this magnificent spread. Heed my advice, and when in Egypt, have Egyptian food. This was all spectacular, and as it got dark, we were handed a parting gift.
Egyptian parties come with Egyptian gift bags.
And this brings me to my conclusion, which is I'm a fan of Egyptian parties. And with that, we'll end this night.
Good morning.
Today's the day. We're finally on our way to Giza. We're gonna see the pyramids.
But first it's Easter, so we're gonna do this.
Aww.
It's about a 45-minute drive outside Cairo to get to Giza, and that's where these are. Now look, I've seen a lot of landmarks in my day, but seeing these things in person evoked a feeling I've never had before. It's honestly kind of hard to put into words, but don't worry, I will attempt to in just a minute. In the meantime, we're gonna head nearby to the Grand Egyptian Museum.
We're here in front of the Egyptian Museum, which is the largest museum in the world.
That's a lie. This is the largest archaeological museum in the world. The largest museum in the world is the Louvre in Paris. And don't worry, I do get a couple facts correct.
This place cost $1.5 billion to build.
You can actually see where that money went. This place befits one of the wonders of the world.
Quite the entrance.
Inside, you'll find a reflecting pool with the statue of
Ramses II.
Naturally. Now, you may think you have a handle on how big this kingdom was, but the sheer volume of artifacts here, and that are constantly being discovered, is mind-blowing.
Everything in here is just vibrating with energy.
I love how we haven't even entered the museum yet. This is just the entrance.
There are over 100,000 artifacts representing 7,000 years of history here. The highlight, of course, being King Tut's collection, which was unfortunately closed for our visit. Even still, there were plenty of amazing things to see. Check out this counter that charts out positive and negative days. The ancient Egyptians used this as a tool to see whether it was going to be a good day or not. And here's what I use.
Should I get out of bed today?
Anyway, to the gift shop.
Every time you go to a museum, you have to get a branded t-shirt.
All right, onward finally to the pyramids. And to get there, you have to make your way through this new visitor center and security checkpoint before being loaded onto a bus and being taken to this first vista point. You'll find many merchants here, and it's here where I bought this cool mug. And this is a good place to talk about the currency. This is about $300 worth of Egyptian pounds. It's highly inflationary and no one really wants it. My suggestion is keep your dollars. Back to the vista point, and there are camels here accompanying the stunning views.
Absolutely incredible to see these things in person.
You know what? This is one of the wonders of the world. Let's make it more epic. That's better. But I think we could do better still. Perfect. About 2.3 million stones were placed here with uncanny precision and perfect astrological alignment with Orion's belt. I don't know whether or not aliens were involved, but I did learn that this was not built by Jewish slaves, but rather 20 to 40,000 skilled laborers working for 20 years.
They're so much taller in person than I thought they'd be.
Originally, these stood at 480 feet and held the title of the tallest man-made structure in the world for 4 millennia.
Could you imagine standing here and seeing this 4,600 years ago?
Back then, it would have looked like this, covered in white alabaster and topped with a metallic capstone. It's honestly still awe-inspiring to see it today. I think it's time we go in for a closer look.
Time to go inside.
Cue the adventure music. If you elect to go inside the pyramid, there is an additional charge, and you'll make your way through this narrow passageway that seems to go on forever. And then you'll round a corner and realize it goes on forever still. I have a bad back, and being crouched over like this isn't ideal actually, but I didn't come all the way to Egypt to not go inside the pyramid, so I am resolved to make this climb. And I'm glad I did, because at the end it opens up to reveal this grand chamber. I was absolutely blown away by this. And then things got a bit dicey.
Don't turn the lights off.
To hell with that.
It's fine.
And for some decent content too. Anyway, the lights came back on and we pushed forward. And here it is, Khufu's tomb.
I think they're going to discover another body here.
Onward, the Great Sphinx awaits. And here it is, 240 by 70 feet of limestone mythical creature dedicated to the god Amun-Ra.
150 years ago, the Sphinx was buried up to its neck in sand. They had to excavate it down to what we see today. And now you can rent it out for parties.
Okay, archaeological lesson over. Time for lunch. We're headed to a brand new luxury restaurant in the pyramid complex. This is Khufu's Bistro, which is an absolutely gorgeous place that offers beautiful views of the pyramids. Being that it's over 100 degrees, we opted to stay inside, before being offered this delicious pomegranate cocktail, and one of the best bread services I've ever had. This was a feast. Everything was spectacular. It was honestly one of the best meals we had on this entire trip, which definitely led to a food coma, which was convenient because we had to go straight to bed.
It's about 3 in the morning, mad dash this morning. We're on our way to the airport. We're taking a plane down to somewhere, then getting on another plane somewhere else, and then boarding a cruise for the Nile.
And God forbid we miss a meal.
Breakfast to go.
Just as soon as we got over our jet lag and adjusted to local time, here we are commuting in the wee hours of the night. We made our way through Cairo's airport and aboard this Egyptian Air flight. This airplane was pretty run down, but I did appreciate the fact that the safety video was on theme, and that there were, in fact, seatbelts. Time for the overwing montage. And allow me now to present the face of exhaustion.
Made it to Abu Simbel.
This is the first part of Egypt I've seen outside of Cairo, and I gotta say, it's a lot more colorful and lush. As we make our way to the temple, we pass by a huge lake.
This is the largest man-made body of water in the world. It's called Lake Nasser.
When they built the dams for this man-made lake, the water level was going to rise to such an extent that this temple would have been completely submerged, so they relocated it here.
Once you see this place, you'll realize what a massive feat of engineering this was in 1960.
That is pretty impressive.
This is definitely one of those moments in life where I was just completely awestruck.
Oh my God.
Built 1300 BC, this temple was commissioned by King Ramses II as a dedication to himself and the god Amun-Ra. Every square inch of this place is covered in hieroglyphs and reliefs.
The amount of detail in this temple is really incredible.
There are many depictions of King Ramses himself, including this one where his horse has 8 legs and he himself 4 arms. This isn't an accident.
So this is one of the earliest examples of animation.
That's supposed to show movement and speed.
Another interesting fact about this temple is its perfect solar alignment. On what is believed to be his coronation day, the sun will illuminate the statue of King Ramses deified alongside Ra, Harakti, Amun-Ra, and Ptah. Adjacent to his temple is a smaller one dedicated to Queen Nefertari, his wife. It may be a bit smaller, but it is no less impressive.
Even the graffiti is old. It's from 1816.
This place is awesome, but we have a flight to catch.
And back on the plane we go.
It's a short flight from Abu Simbel to Aswan, which is home to a private dock, and that's where our luxury Nile cruise awaits. This is the Dahabeya by Aqua, a luxury Nile cruise where they greet you with a cool towel.
Welcome on board.
Thank you.
And a fresh smoothie. I gotta say, this cruise is looking promising. They even have a jewelry store on board.
Not too shabby.
Let's check out our cabin.
This is pretty big.
We'll start out in the bathroom, which is actually a pretty good size for a boat. There's a huge vanity and everything is covered in white oak. Here's the walk-in shower, and here's a giant mirrored wall that runs the whole length of the cabin, next to a dressing area with 2 large closets and a coffee station. All right, into the sleeping area now, and there's a nice king-size bed here that was really comfortable, and a TV that was hidden away. And here's the best feature.
This river view is amazing.
I, for one, am looking forward to seeing the Nile River float by while in bed. But in the meantime, we're heading topside for lunch. Now, a dahabeya is modeled after the Pharaoh's boat, and I do feel somewhat like royalty.
It's good bread.
We started with this amuse-bouche, and our bouche was amused. Here's the menu, but I think something's missing. Thank you. These chilled towels honestly were so clutch in this weather. For lunch, we had this small chicken salad, this delicious soup, and this fantastic lamb.
That's a really good lamb.
This was our first introduction to food on board the Aqua, and I'm impressed.
We quickly wrapped up with lunch. No time for amenities. There are more temples to see.
As we drive through Aswan, I'm struck with how beautiful this part of the country is. Today's stop has us making our way through a marketplace to a dock and aboard a small boat. Once underway, we were treated to glimpses of interesting topography as the Agilica Island approached. This is Isis's temple. Constructed 300 years BC, this temple is dedicated to the goddess Isis, who enjoyed centuries of worship even as recently as 300 AD.
And she's been worshipped along the Mediterranean, in Greece. Even they copied her and call her Aphrodite. In Rome, they copied her and call her Venus. No goddess in the history of the mankind be loved more than Isis.
Pilgrims from all over the known world would seek out this mythical island for its miracles and blessings. And here's 2 more. This temple is a stunning place to explore. I think it's time we head inside. Here you'll find some of the latest reliefs to be created in all of Egypt, and you may notice that some of these depictions of Isis bear a striking resemblance to the Virgin Mary.
See, it's very similar to Madonna and Child, so early Christians removed her face and actually put up the Virgin Mary in some instances.
Before Christians, pagans used this place for rituals. Anyway, time to head back to the boat and try my hand at some local music. Better leave it to the professionals. I think I have a new theme song. Back aboard the Aqua, and it is just a beautiful ship.
Thank you.
We set sail for the first time as the sun waned, and we approached our next destination.
Not much time to rest. We're at a little island on the Nile where we're gonna have dinner. Not sure what to expect.
What I can tell you is precautions have been taken.
Just took a shower in insect repellent, so wish us luck.
I think it's worth braving the mosquitoes for this.
Just pulled up to this island and we're having this amazing dinner.
This has to be one of the most beautiful dinner settings I've ever seen. I can't wait to see what's in store. We kick things off with this beautiful cocktail, some pita, and this amazing soup. This is Egyptian molahia, and it's a new favorite.
It's like a buttery, creamy spinach soup. It's so delicious.
And honestly, so is everything else. Dessert soon followed, and even in Egypt, I can't escape a birthday ambush. We were treated to a dinner-side performance. And as the night progressed, there was some audience participation as well. And finally, a dude in a horse costume.
That was an epic dinner.
That was amazing.
I think it's time for bed.
We awake to find ourselves sailing the Nile once again.
Another outfit check. Ready for another day of adventure.
But first, we're going to see how the Aqua handles breakfast. And the answer is splendidly. Here's my latte and eggs Benedict. It's time now we made our way off the boat and into Kom Ombo, where we met some friendly locals.
You're so pretty. Yeah, you have a very nice smile. You do.
Who are aggressively trying to sell you things.
I know, they're really nice.
I have your size.
Once through that gauntlet, here we are, Sobek's temple. This deity with the head of a crocodile was both feared and revered. Since this temple was constructed after Alexander the Great's conquest of Egypt, you'll notice that the reliefs here have a more Greek influence. Once again, this is just an amazing place to walk around. Kom Ombo had many uses over the years, including this religious practice we're all familiar with.
You might notice these ears in this relief. Turns out this was an early confessional.
And here's this side entrance that leads to these examination rooms. Turns out this place was used as an early hospital. I can almost imagine what it was like back then. This was an absolutely beautiful temple set against the Nile River. Totally worth exploring. You can check out the mummified crocodiles next door and visit the gift shop if you like. If you don't find anything you want in here, you'll have another chance to look at things outside. We were escorted all the way back to our riverboat. These kids can get kind of possessive. And their sales tactics are kind of aggressive, actually. They're going to force things on you that you don't really want, but just look at it as charity.
Welcome back, sir.
Thank you. Something very odd about walking through a half mile of that and being greeted with a moist towelette on board this boat. It's a very odd contrast.
The position we find ourselves in, on board this luxury dahabeya with its 5-star amenities and fine dining, pulling into places of true poverty where even children have to hustle, is honestly not that comfortable. But we got over it. Let me ask you something. Have you ever laid on a crocodile's back under the Nubian sun while floating on the Nile River? Because I have. Anyway, it's occurred to me you may want a tour of the Aqua. Let's go ahead and do that. This is the upper bow deck where we're having most of our meals. Next to that is a small spa where you could have a massage. And on the aft of this level, you can find an outdoor gym, which is adjacent to this sun deck. Downstairs is the main lounge and bar on deck 1. Towards the bow is the outdoor lounge and wading pool I was in earlier. On the lower deck is another dining area and the onboard jewelry store, which is next to the hallway that leads to all the cabins. All right, let's cue this sailing montage. Memories of gliding down the Nile River, seeing echoes of civilizations past next to the rich tapestries of cultures present, will stick with me forever. And so too will the calories I consumed while on board. As lunch concludes, we dock at Edfu for our next stop.
Yella.
As we pass through Edfu, the call to prayer rises, a haunting hymn that fills the city streets. And here it is, the temple at Edfu. This temple was buried until the 19th century. Constructed 280 years BC, this temple is dedicated to the falcon-headed god Horus, seen here in these reliefs battling his uncle Seti. These indentations along the facade once held banners that would give the locals news.
You know what's happening on the country once you can see the colors of the flag.
The more I'm exploring these ruins, it's just striking me how incredibly expansive and advanced this kingdom was.
You may have read about ancient Egypt or seen pictures of what has been built here, but to stand here in person, having a tangible connection to the past, is truly remarkable. I found myself awestruck over and over again. I was at a loss for words, really, so I'll just repeat myself.
The amount of detail here is mind-blowing.
We found these 2 spiraling staircases that led up to the roof. These were used in ritualistic processions, symbolizing the god's ascension into the heavens. And speaking of gods,
I feel like I definitely could have been a deity in ancient Egypt, because I've head of a man and the body of an orca.
Well, at least this place is a decent size and I can get some steps in while I roam around. And speaking of roaming, this serves as a perfect segue for this video's sponsor.
Look, it's obvious I don't mind spending money while traveling, but I hate spending money needlessly on things like roaming fees from your phone carrier. That's why whenever I travel, I like to use an eSIM, and I'm happy to have partnered with Philae. If you want fast, reliable coverage, Philae is great. Unlike other companies, Philae lets you buy plans that are continent-wide, so you don't have to update your eSIM every time you move between countries, which can be a total pain. Also, setup is a breeze. No more visiting agents at kiosks. Just take your phone, download the app from the App Store, and follow the on-screen instructions, and you'll have fast, reliable, and affordable service in minutes. There are data plans at many price point and sizes. Whichever one you end up choosing, use my name, Austin Rock, for a 15% discount. Or visit Philae.com/Austin Rock. Traveling can be difficult. You need the peace of mind that your phone will work and that you won't have to spend a fortune making it work. Philae will give you that peace of mind. Alright, back to the video.
Time to make the drive back to the Aqua. As the sun slipped low, it offered us fleeting glances through narrow alleyways as it filled the streets of Edfu in its golden hue. And once back on board our Dahabeya, it was time to sail off into the sunset. Now, I have to put sail in air quotes, because while there are sails on board, we were tugged by this boat the entire time. As I sat topside, I watched the beauty of the Nile unfurl before me, as the lush vegetation fell to blackness, as day faded to night. We on board decided to toast to this once-in-a-lifetime journey. Before long, it was time for dinner again, and while the menu has changed, covering meals has become kind of redundant. The food is spectacular like it all has been, and we got to enjoy it while pulling into the city of Esna. And as we docked, we were moved to the aft for another show. This is the Tanoura, a traditional Sufi dance that's been updated with some Egyptian flair. And lights!
Burning Man's sick this year.
This honestly looked like a lot of fun, and I decided I wanted to try my hand at it. But I was abruptly stopped. And let's go ahead and end the night here. The next morning, we awoke to more Nile views, and I'm here to tell you they never get old. This is going to be an absolutely epic day because we're pulling up to Luxor.
Now it's time to see Valley of the Kings.
To get there, we're ferried on a boat called Hercules to a small dock in the city of Luxor. And by the way, this is what a camel looks like at full gallop. And this is what Luxor looks like as we drive through it. You'll notice the city has a lot of agriculture and a ton of active archaeological digs, which is why Luxor is known as the largest open-air museum in the world. And here's the first exhibit we're gonna see. These are called the Colossi of Memnon. They're also known as the singing pharaohs because of the sound the wind makes passing through them.
These statues are the second largest in Egypt, second only to the ones we saw the other day at Abu Simbel.
All right, onwards through another marketplace and into the visitor center of the Valley of the Kings. The tombs of 60 pharaohs are buried here. See, they eventually got wise to the fact that some of their tombs were kind of easy to find for grave robbers, so they started digging into this valley here. There's an impressive network of chambers and tunnels beneath our feet, and I, for one, can't wait to explore them. Our foray into the valley starts on a golf cart, and it is a scorchingly hot day. Stepping into these tombs is like walking into a sauna. It's worth it though. This one belongs to King Ramses IV, and it's just covered in beautiful ornamentation.
It's absolutely incredible to see how intact all this pigment is.
Further down, inside, is the tomb of King Ramses IV. And above him is a mural of the sun and moon cycle through the god Newt. I need a cold drink. That's better. Onwards to the tomb of King Seti I. And though I was impressed with the pigment in the last one, this is something else. And once deeper in, I saw something I didn't expect.
This tomb is actually unfinished, and you can see the original sketching they did ahead of carving.
Laborers had about 70 days from the pharaoh's death to complete these tombs, which was approximately how much time the mummification process took to complete, and they didn't always make it. All right, let's move on to the next pharaoh, and I'm positive you've heard of this one.
This tomb was discovered in the 1920s, which led to the popularization of Art Deco. It was largely inspired by Egyptian themes.
Once inside, this tomb really is something special.
I've commented a lot on how amazing the pigment is in these tombs. This one really does look like it was painted yesterday.
We may have missed seeing his mask at the museum, but here's the man in person.
I think this is the only pharaoh that got to stay in his tomb.
Walking through the Valley of the Kings was absolutely incredible. Such a special moment. And despite it being hot...
That was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had.
All right, back on the golf cart, back on Hercules, back to the Dahabeya, and back to our creature comforts.
Welcome back, sir.
Thank you.
It is no joke, 110 degrees outside, so I was happy to see that they moved lunch indoors. But let's go ahead and blow through this and fast forward to the sunset and our next destination.
We're heading to Luxor Temple now, and it's going to be lit. I can't wait to see this.
A quick fist bump for the best guide in the game, and it's speedboat time. Sunset edition. It's a short bus ride as night falls in the city of Luxor, and we're excited. This is Luxor Temple by night. But before we get into that, we have to talk about the Avenue of the Sphinxes, which is the oldest and longest ceremonial road in all of Egypt. We're actually lucky to be standing here because it only recently opened.
Since 2021, it's the first time anyone could walk on it in over 2,000 years.
All right, back to it.
This is Luxor.
Built by Pharaoh Amenhotep III in 1400 BC, this site was used for many important ceremonies.
Did you notice that there's an obelisk missing?
Yeah, we're actually going to see it next week when we go to Paris.
Here's the one that's still here. I must say, Luxor at night is beautiful to walk around, despite the obvious shortcomings.
I feel like I've met some pretty well-traveled people. I never met anyone who's ever been here.
Which is weird because it seems like the entire world's population is here now.
It's crowded.
Even still, seeing the night sky set against these ancient ruins was nothing short of extraordinary. And it's here I learned something new about the English language.
Here behind me you can see a depiction of a pharaoh painted blue. This was meant to indicate that they were a son of Amun-Ra, and that's actually the etymology of the word blue blood.
Deeper inside this temple, we'll find more reliefs and hieroglyphs, including this interesting one depicting fertility. Some people actually believe that this is a sperm, and therefore the ancient Egyptians must have had a microscope. It's obviously a flower.
You can see all the smooth material in between all the hieroglyphic textures. That's where people have come and reinforced everything here. A lot of effort has been put into keeping this place standing, and thank God, because this is amazing to walk through.
Luxor at night was stunning, truly once in a lifetime. We ended up closing the place out, and it got dark. It was incredible to see it this way. And off the bow of Hercules, we saw the Valley of the Kings lit up for night. And here's a Four Seasons being built. Maybe White Lotus will take place here. I do feel like they follow us around. Before long, we're back on board the Aqua. And the crew has switched up their uniforms on us.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're about to have dinner. There's a little bit of downtime, which is a great time to have a Cuban cigar and some fine scotch. I really wish we could get these back home.
We toast to our last night on the Nile. And the Aqua has prepared another delicious meal for dinner and baked us a farewell cake before leading us aft for a pharaoh show. Now, I can't attest to how historically accurate this pharaoh's dance was, but I liked it. This was followed with a belly dancer, another one of these, and a performance that no one asked for. The next morning meant it was time to say goodbye.
I hate goodbyes.
I can't stress enough how amazing the crew and experience was aboard the Aqua. Anyway, on to the next thing.
We just left our Aqua Nile cruise. We're on a bus now in Luxor on On our way to the airport, but we're gonna squeeze in one more temple. We're going to Karnak.
Karnak's temple is connected by the Avenue of the Sphinxes to Luxor Temple, which we of course saw last night. This compound covers about 200 acres and was built during the Middle Kingdom. As you approach the entrance, you'll notice this line of ram-headed sphinxes.
These statues used to have human heads, but Pharaoh Ramses II replaced them all with rams.
Once again, I'm totally floored with how crowded it is, which gives me an idea. I'm just saying maybe Thanos had a point. It's getting really hard to shoot around these crowds, but I'm gonna try my best. Let's go ahead and turn the people down, scout out a clean shot, and cue the music. Karnak has several obelisks of its own, including this one,
Tallest obelisk in Egypt.
which is dedicated to Queen Hatshepsut. You may notice her obelisk is covered by the ruins of an old wall. This ended up preserving it, but that's not why it was built.
Besides being a woman, she was also extremely successful, and some men were threatened by that, so tried to cover the obelisk with a wall.
Isn't it just like a man to have obelisk envy? It's kind of ridiculous. Anyway, this is Karnak's sacred lake, where oracle ceremonies and purification rituals took place. And speaking of rituals, we noticed this happening nearby.
There is a belief this is a magical scarab, and the belief is that if we go anti-clockwise in 5 or 7 rounds and make a wish, the wish will come true soon.
Here's hoping. But hey, we gotta run.
Hurry up, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
We make our mad dash towards the airport and say goodbye, Luxor. Below, the scene fills with dust and beige, which can only mean we're back in Cairo. Now, having schlepped all this camera gear and luggage all over this entire country the last few days, I've made a decision.
Next time we're bringing a Sherpa.
She's not much help. We're back in the Waldorf for a little bit of relaxation before dinner, and tonight we're gonna head off campus. On the way to the restaurant, we got a few glances of Cairo's vibe at night. And this city is honestly bustling. It's filled with people, all ages, all hours, everywhere. And there's also some beautiful stonemasonry here as well. This part of Cairo is home to its modern high-rises and luxury riverside restaurants, which is where we're heading now. This is Pier 88, and this is their Nile view. And this is their purple basil martini.
That is exceptional.
So not only are 8s lucky numbers for me, but there was a spider on my plate. In some cultures, that means attracting money. I'm gonna interpret it as upcoming YouTube success, which I'm gonna need if I'm gonna continue to document lifestyle like this. Anyway, this restaurant was great. The food was fantastic. The steak in particular.
This is shockingly good.
If you find yourself in Cairo, Pier 88 is a good move. In the meantime, we're heading back to the hotel, because tomorrow is our last day in Egypt. And here it is. Our last day, our last breakfast, and our last guided tour. Today, we're heading to the Citadel, which is a military fort dating back to 1400 AD. The centerpiece of this place is the Mohammed Ali Mosque, commissioned by Muhammad Ali Pasha, who's considered to be the founder of modern Egypt. This mosque is also known by another name, the Alabaster Mosque. White alabaster covers the entire place. And because of this, you must cover your shoes before entering. Once you do, you'll be greeted with this dramatic moment. This is an absolutely stunning interior. Anywhere I pointed my camera, there's just so many beautiful details to capture here. It's a gorgeous space, and I can understand why Prince Muhammad Ali chose to be laid to rest here. Upon exiting the mosque, you'll notice that the Citadel offers amazing views of Cairo below. There's also a prison that's now a museum.
This jail is 700 years old.
As you make your way in here, you can peek inside some of the cells and see what prison life was like for the inmates back then. By the way, some of them were pretty famous.
President Anwar Sadat was actually jailed here. And here's a photo of me and his wife from my childhood.
Appropriately, next to the jail is the Police Museum, which covers the history of policing and crime in Egypt. This was cool to see, but the next stop is an absolute must.
Here at Khan El Khalili, which is one of Cairo's largest markets.
Scratch that. It is the largest market in Cairo, and there's just a ton of items here. My suggestion is to forego the shopping outside temples and wait until you're here. They have everything.
There's a great, vast selection of things.
Whether you want jewelry, antiques, or even maybe rotary phones, you'll find it here. We picked up some handcrafted items. After exploring for a bit, we decided to have lunch here at a place called Naguib Mafouz. The decor is amazing, totally on theme, and the food was excellent. And once again, we were treated to our new Egyptian favorite. We had baklava and bread pudding, and honestly, I gotta say,
I am stuffed.
That's been true since I landed here, and there's no time for a food coma today, so we'll hit that Middle Eastern coffee. Adjacent to the market is Old Cairo and the Islamic section. I thoroughly enjoyed walking through here and taking in all this beautiful architecture. You can actually enter some of the buildings here, and we decided to see how the 1% of Egypt used to live, after navigating more Egyptian security. This beautiful home belonged to... Actually, I don't remember.
Whose house was this?
I missed that part, but it was someone rich who had a lot of wives.
Polygamy was actually encouraged in 17th century Cairo. The wives would live in a separate wing of the house, but congregate with the husband in this beautiful common room. And it's an arrangement that I guess worked.
As long as he treated all of them equally, then, why not? We immediately make everything about emotions and jealousy and, sex. But from a survival standpoint, it's totally making sense. Anyways, must have been fun.
Should we invite more wives into our marriage?
Shut the f*** up.
All right, we gotta make haste back to the hotel because our hosts have invited us to a farewell party.
On our way to an Egyptian party, it's Nubian nights. Dress the part.
We're headed back to that beautiful gated community, only this time we're welcomed with a giant procession.
What a entrance!
We did some dancing and watched the Tanoura once again. You know what? I want to give it another try. And yes, there was another buffet. By the way, if there's any companies out there that want to sponsor my weight loss journey, email me. In the meantime, I'll try to dance some calories off. This, by the way, is Nubian music, which I had no idea was so sax heavy. We continued to dance the night away, and Diana elected to have a henna tattoo. This was a great party. You know what? This is a good place to end the video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't yet. It helps out tremendously with the algorithm. What'd you think of Egypt? Let me know in the comments. Personally, I think this was a once-in-a-lifetime trip, and I'm so grateful I got to go on it. And I'm happy I got to share it with you. As always, thanks for watching.